The word triggered is used very commonly by top psychologists, therapists, counselors, spiritual leaders, spiritual authors. You will find this word used a lot in today's society. And that's because a trigger is a messenger. When we are triggered, it is a gift, even though it feels the total opposite at the time. When we are triggered, we are being given an opportunity to heal a wound, because a trigger comes from a deep wound that has not been healed. And we can be triggered for all sorts of reasons and in all sorts of ways. And you actually will find, once you become aware of your triggers, this word will be used a lot in your daily vocabulary. It has become a word that I use a lot in mine on a daily basis, not only with myself, but with clients, with my family. Because when we identify a trigger within ourselves, we take responsibility for our emotions, our feelings, our reactions. It is one of the most empowering, healing practices that we can do. So what is a trigger and where does it come from? A trigger, just like, pulling a trigger, it is a quick, instant reaction. Just like when a trigger is pulled on a gun and it's instant, that is the same speed that your emotional surge, your emotional reaction is manifested. It is sudden. So something someone says, something someone does, something that happens to you externally, maybe it's even people you don't know, just something happens to you that instantly triggers either anger, fear, insecurity, sadness, loneliness, feeling of rejection. There are so many responses that you could have to a trigger. And each and every trigger is completely unique to you. A trigger comes from a deep wound that has not been healed within you. So what we are being presented with when we are triggered is a part of us that is still in pain. Somewhere inside of us, we have suppressed a past hurt. We have suppressed an insecurity that came from the words or the actions of another. We have suppressed it deep within our bodies, deep within our subconscious. And when a trigger happens, those wounds are being brought from the subconscious into the conscious to be healed. But only if we bring self-awareness, compassion, and the willing to be vulnerable into our reality. So when we are triggered, you have two options. You can either ignore the fact that you've been triggered and suppress it and maybe even take out your pain onto another. Deflecting the trigger being your own wound and blaming the other person for hurting you. This is one way. There is an unconscious way of dealing with a trigger. This is us not taking ownership, not taking responsibility for our own wounds. Or the conscious way of dealing with a trigger is when it appears, feel it. You may instantly react, whether that be tears or anger, or even to initially, because it's a trigger and sometimes we don't have that conscious awareness in the moment with a trigger, you may even take it out on another initially. But if you can bring consciousness into what is happening, and you can do this by, I did mention it in my last video, the video that is all about life being your teacher and how you create all of your life circumstances. There is a practice that we can do, which I mentioned in that video, where we detach from the situation at hand. So rather than being in it, being in the feelings, being in the drama, being, totally absorbed by the pain that you're experiencing in that moment, if you can detach, almost as if you're doing this kind of helicopter effect, this bird's eye view of the situation that's happening, then you can bring your awareness, your higher self-awareness into the moment and see that this moment is an opportunity for growth. Whatever you're being triggered on is an opportunity to heal that wound. And one of the best ways to heal the wound is, number one, bring awareness to it. What are you feeling? Why do you think you're feeling it? What is it triggering within you? What emotion? What feeling? What is being remembered by your body, by your subconscious in this moment? Where have you felt this feeling before? And the second way to heal a trigger is to express how you feel with another, especially if that other person has triggered you, because sometimes, of course, people can hurt us. It's very common. Hurt people, but sometimes the triggerer, the person that's triggering you, is not intentionally trying to hurt you. So when we express authentically how we feel, which I have mentioned in one of my other videos, authenticity is the new enlightenment. When we openly express and honestly express our emotions with the person who we're in the situation with, and we tell them exactly how we feel, how they've triggered us, and what feelings are emerging as a result of that trigger, bearing in mind that they are hopefully on your level of consciousness, they are compassionate with you, they are open to helping you to grow and heal. 9 times out of 10, when we express this with another, they usually do want to help us. They want to hold that compassion. They want to listen with understanding, because it is our natural instinct as human beings to be there for one another. So if they are not, that is their problem. That is their work that they need to heal if they cannot be understanding for you in that moment, and you need to express it anyway. Never suppress your feelings in fear of a reaction of another. That is their trigger. That is their wound. So always do what is best for you. This is the growth. So if you get triggered and you need to express how you're feeling with another, hey, you've triggered me in this moment. You've made me feel, insecure, sad, emotional, angry by the words that you've said. I take full responsibility of my feelings, my reactions, my response, and I am going to work through this with compassion for myself at my own pace, but I am just being honest with you that this is what is happening in this moment. Authentic honesty that is absolutely priceless, not just for you, but for your relationship with that other person. Now, how they respond to your truth is on them. And it is up to them if they are triggered by your words, by your truth, by your honesty. It is up to them how they respond to that. And if they do get triggered by your truth, then it is up to them to take responsibility for their trigger and bring it into reality. Bring it to the surface. Bring it to the table between you and the other. So, when we are triggered, it is our responsibility to see it as a messenger. One of the greatest truths is that in order to relate to another, no matter whether that be romantic, platonic, or family, we must work on the self. And you will find that a lot of relationships suffer from a lack of authenticity between each other, a lack of vulnerability, a lack of honesty, and a lack of taking responsibility for your shit. Excuse the language, but that there is no better way to explain it. Take responsibility for your shit. Own your shit, because you can't put that shit onto another person. That is your baggage to heal, to work on, and to grow. That other person, whatever the relationship is there to support you through your growth, just as you are there to support them through their growth. If you project your wounds onto another without taking the responsibility and also being honest with yourself and being willing to do the work and heal and grow, then the relationship will suffer, because it is not fair for the other person to be the receiving end of your projected wounds without you being honest and taking the responsibility. Same with the other. A relationship is a meeting of two people, two individuals with your own paths, who have walked your own individual lives through your own trauma, through your own pain and suffering, and through your own memories, coming together to embrace each other and to enhance each other's lives, to help each other grow. And in order for that to happen, we must remember that the work has to be done on the self to fully embrace this union. And that is the beauty of relationships, because when we can be totally honest and authentic with ourselves and another, then the real work can happen. When we fully take responsibility for our shit, the real work and growth and healing can happen, and you can experience beautiful relationships. Remembering that nobody is perfect. We all have some sort of trauma. We all have some insecurity, some pain that we are carrying. We are all just trying to heal on this journey. We are all doing our best, and we are all equal. When we realize that, true transformation can happen. True love for the self and another can happen. You will blossom into the most highest and authentic version of yourself, and so will the people around you. As you shine your light, you start to bring out the light in another. So next time you get triggered, own it, express it, communicate it, bring awareness to it so that you can heal it. And eventually that trigger will dissolve, and you will no longer be triggered by the wounds that you used to carry, because they will be healed. Use your trigger as your messenger for growth. Thank you.